Manōdharma Sangītam, Part 2.
Welcome to the lecture series on Carnatic music. In this session, we shall discuss about the following topics. 1. Madhyama Kalam. 2. Varieties of tānam. 3. Amsaswara and Nyasaswara. 4. Kalpana Swaram. 5. Aspects of Kalpana Swaram singing. Madhyama Kalam. The next important branch of Manodharma Sangītam is Madhyama Kalam or tānam. This is the liveliest part of the Raga exposition and comes as a welcome relief after the long drawn out Chauka Kala ālāpanā. This is the ālāpanā in medium speed. It has a perceptible rhythm and rhythmical flow of music is very fascinating. Tānam is Madhyama Kala Gānam. The music here is, in a sense, measured, though not into specific avartas. A uniform tempo is maintained and variety is introduced by the change of figure or nadai now and then. Whenever nyasam is made, some slow speed sancharas around the nyasa swaras are permissible. The phrases anamta, tānamta and tānamna should be used in this style of raga exposition. Expert musicians play trikala tānas. Makarini and Vartani are other names of this style of music. It is usual to practice swara tānam, that is, singing tānam with solfa syllables as a preliminary exercise to sing tānam in the usual manner. Tānam in dhrutakala is called ghanam. Music in quick tempo is the dominant feature of this exposition, and while singing nyasa, madhyama kala and vilamba kala sancharas can come in.
Varieties of tānam. There are 8 varieties of tānam that have been recognized based on the varieties of figure of swara group patterns that can be presented in this style of raga exposition. 6 of these varieties have been given the name of animals and birds which have characteristic gaits and which are interesting from the point of view of rhythm. The other 2 names are self-explanatory. Thus, the 8 varieties of tānam are as given below. Manava tānam, Ashva tānam, Gaja tānam, Markata tānam, Mayura tānam, Kukkuta tānam, Manduga tānam and chakra tānam. Based on the figurative nature of the phrase patterns, tānam have also been classified into the following types: chakra tānam, bakra tānam, mishra tānam, malika tānam, gambhira tānam and vidya tānam. In the chakra tānam, cyclic patterns of phrases are sung with whirl-wind rapidity. Sattanur Panju Iyer, an eminent singer of the last century, was adept in singing these different types of tānam. Today, it has become the habit of few musicians to follow up the tānam in the principal raga with short tānam in the ghana ragas like Natai, Gaula, Arabhi, Sri Ragam and Varali. Amsaswara and Nyasaswara. For every raga, there are certain swaras around which one can weave an ālāpanā. These are known as the amsaswaras of the raga and constitute strong resting notes. For example, sa, pa, ga, sa is the amsaswara for Shankarabharanam. A raga which has two or more amsaswara is known as a major raga. Amsaswara is the essential note of the raga. These are the basic notes of a raga, and one is able to weave around them beautiful patterns of phrases. For example, in Shankarabharana raga, Shadja, Gandhara and Panchama are good amsaswaras. A raga like Dhanyasi has only one amsaswara, pa, and naturally the scope for elaboration gets limited here. Major ragas are called Periya ragas and minor ragas are called Chinna ragas in Tamil. Major ragas are also known as the Ghana ragas. In general, Tristhai ragas are the major ragas. Nishadantya, Daivatantya and Panchamantya ragas are the minor ragas. Sampurna ragas, Shadava Sampurna ragas like Kamboji and Audava Sampurna ragas like Saveri give greater scope for ālāpanā than the Sampurna Shadava ragas and Sampurna Audava ragas. The rules pertaining to the ālāpanā of a raga can be grouped under the following categories: mandatory, advisory, cautionary, and informatory. These rules and procedures laid down for the development of raga help one to give a full and balanced ālāpanā of a raga. The non-observance of the procedure and the rules laid down may result in the ālāpanā becoming scrappy, haphazard, ineffective, and disproportionate. Some parts may be overemphasized and others not touched at all. An ālāpanā without a plan will be a mere jumble of phrases. In an ideal raga ālāpanā, the singer or the performer delights his audiences by shooting off into unknown, unexplored and untapped regions of swara prastaras and rakti prayogas. Within the framework of the raga, the performer is free to ramble at will, and neither the performer nor the audiences know exactly what will come next. After establishing oneself in a raga, one may attempt even uncommon prayogas and still give aesthetic pleasure, provided the prayogas are consistent with the raga. The ālāpanā of a raga can be compared to an essay. Just as an essay has an introduction, body, and conclusion, the raga ālāpanā also has the same divisions. The stages of raga vardhini correspond to the several paragraphs occurring in the body of an essay. Kalpana Swaram. It is yet another important aspect of Manōdharma Sangītam. Kalpana literally means imagined, and swaras are the notes of the scale of the raga being performed. This section of improvised imagined notes occur either in the latter part of the kriti rendition or after the kriti has been completed. Identifying this section in a vocal performance is easy because the performer sings the names of the notes of the raga scale, sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, dha or ni, instead of the lyrics. In an instrumental performance, the musicians articulate or pluck each note. The Kalpana swaras always return to the phrase from the Kriti. The phrase, its beginning note, and the pace where it begins in the Tala cycle are important because ultimately each turn of the Kalpana swara will lead back to it. Indeed, it is called the idam, the place. At first, Kalpana swaras of half, 1, 2, 4, and 8 avarta duration are attempted, and they are then followed by Kalpana swaras of duration of multiple avartas. Extempore swaras colored with jati bedas and nadai bedas are then taken up. Sometimes, in a Pallavi theme, a few words of the Sahitya in the Prathamanga are replaced here and there by equivalent lengths of Kalpana swaras. This intertwining of swaras with Sahitya syllables offers a good variety. In order to heighten the effect and at the same time to give an emphatic and ornamental finish to the Kalpana swara passages, it is usual to conclude them with makutams, literally crown-like endings. These makutams give timely hint to the mridangam player of the approaching conclusion. Short Kalpana swaras are concluded with short makutas and Kalpana swaras of multiple avartas with well-planned longer makutas. Concluding with makutam is, however, not obligatory. It is desirable within certain limits. Thus, makutams are planned conclusions. Aspects of Kalpana Swara singing. Progression from simple to complex. A typical example of Kalpana Swara singing starts off with short, simple swaras, which may be a few notes long and progresses into longer and more complex patterns. Each round of Kalpana Swaras ends at the particular point in the lyric chosen. Ending a Kalpana Swara. One key aspect is that considerable practice and expertise is required before a musician acquires the ability to end each round of swaras by meeting the rhythmic and melodic requirements. Often, this ending is not predetermined but arrived at in a very spontaneous fashion. Importance of Edippu. Edippu denotes the starting point of the lyric that follows each round of Kalpana Swaras. The Edippu may be on the sama, that is coinciding with the beat, or anagata, the tala precedes the music, or atita, the music precedes the tala. There is no rule or requirement that one has to choose a particular line of a given song for Kalpana Swara singing. Musicians often choose different lines of the same song in different concerts, or show variations by ending the Kalpana Swaras at different points in the same line of the lyric. Slow and fast tempo swaras. Very often, Kalpana Swaras are sung in slow tempo first and progress to the fast tempo subsequently. The slow tempo or chaukakala swaras provide ample scope for gamakas or microtones, and pidi or typical phrases in a given raga based exploration of the raga, while the fast tempo duritakala swaras add an exciting crescendo effect and often include interesting calculations and swara patterns. Kanakku or calculations. Musicians often use calculations to enhance the flavor of a Kalpana Swara rendition. The complexity and extent of use of calculations depend on the musician's school of thought and less often on the extent of mastery over rhythm. Use of some standard calculations or korvais. A typical example would be the 5x3 sequence in Kalyani Raga. Ga ri sa ni da, ri sa ni da pa, ga ma pa da ni. Other karvais may take up the span of an entire avarta or tala cycle and may be repeated 3 times with the same basic rhythmic structure but different melodic patterns to accentuate the effect. Poruttam or calculations customized to Edippu. The Lalgudi Bani is well known for this technique. Instead of using a standardized calculation, the rhythmic pattern is customized to merge seamlessly with the melodic pattern of the lyric. Often, the calculation is done so subtly that the listener may not even realize its complexity. Sarva Laghu Swaras. This style of swara singing brings out the beauty of the raga without resorting to heavy calculation. The Sarva Laghu Swara singing is by no means inferior to calculation-oriented singing. When employed skillfully, it greatly compounds the overall harmony of rhythm and melody, a feeling described in concert parlance as Saukyam. Importance of variety. Ending kalpana swaras in different notes and then blending the ending aptly with a suitable sangati or melodic embellishment of the lyric is yet another advanced level technique. Focal notes or patterns. Traversing up and down the scale without any patterns or focal points will result in monotony, and the performer may run out of ideas. One technique that is often employed is the use of focal notes. These notes are chosen to suit the raga in hand, and patterns are built around that given note. Sometimes different rounds of kalpana swaras focus on different focal notes. Korappu. It literally means reduction. Often performed as a grand finale to the kalpana swaras for the main piece, korappu involves starting with longer swara patterns around a focal note, say 4 to 6 avartas, and progressively performing shorter patterns, that is 2, 1, half, quarter avartas, etc., with each pattern ending in one or more focal notes. The alternation between the main performer and accompanists provides an interesting contrast. The korappu may be followed by a korvai to neatly wind up the kalpana swara singing. Other advanced techniques. In a typical chatushra nadai, some sophisticated techniques are included, but are not limited to tishram. Chatushra tishram, the underlying gati is still chatushra, but each note takes up 3/4 of the beat, and use of swaraksharas, the swara and the syllable being similar.
We began this session with an introduction about Madhyama Kalam, an important aspect of Manōdharma Sangītam. Following this, we discussed about the varieties of tānam and also had a look on the amsa swaras and nyasa swaras. We then moved on to discuss about another factor of Manodharma Sangītam, the kalpana swaram, and the aspects of kalpana swaram singing. With this, we come to the end of this session. Let us continue with the rest in the next session. Thank you.